So I think most of us have seen our fair share of VTuber graduations or even terminations, which honestly just means they got fired. And most of the time it's the usual offenders, like not meeting contract agreements and requirements or breaking NDA, like the stuff that would get you fired in any industry. It's just that with VTubing, if you get fired, the reasons why get thrown out in the open for everyone to see. Most of the time, I'm not really surprised because someone did something they weren't supposed to and faced the consequences. It's simple as that, not always, but most of the time. But sometimes there's one that just throws me for a loop and I'm just looking at like, you did all that. Damn. But why though? And I'm just sitting here in disbelief. A good example for that would be Zion Lansar from Nichisan TN, who got terminated earlier this year, who had an entire rap sheet attached to their termination notice. And to be fair, we weren't really used to something like that in the end sphere, so it took us all by surprise and kind of blew up, especially because she got suspended not long before that. I made an entire video on her if you're curious, so go check that out. But in all honesty, I don't think anyone really expected for something like that to happen again, or at least this soon. Yet somehow it did. Yesterday, a member of IDOL Corp got terminated. Their name is Riro Ron, and the list of reasons is kind of wild, honestly. And while I cannot personally verify whether all of these reasons are correct and true, I would like to trust IDOL Corp for being honest about this stuff. Though Riro Ron, or the person behind it, has issued a statement of themselves. But first, let's go over the actual notice. The tweet with this notice has been linked in the description in case you want to look over it yourself, but here are the important parts. Regarding the actions of Riro Ron that led to this termination, it has been discovered through an internal investigation that Riro Ron has violated her contract and engaged in activities both dangerous and harmful to both her own well-being as well as to the company. Through our investigation, we were able to confirm that Riro Ron violated her contract in the following ways: misuse of controlled substances during livestream performances, soliciting fans during livestream members content for private offline meetings, meeting with a fan in person and accepting gifts from said fan in the total value of thousands of dollars, conducting a secretive relationship with a member of the IDOL management team who also has been terminated, or confirmation of these details. These actions have breached the trust essential in our continued management and support of Riro Ron, leading to our decision to terminate her contract. We sincerely apologize for any disappointment this announcement may cause and appreciate your understanding. We are treating this matter with the utmost seriousness and will be taking steps to ensure similar situations do not happen in the future. We also ask that you do not message, harass, or otherwise disturb the day-to-day activities of our talents regarding this matter. We hope for your continued support for our talents and appreciate your understanding regarding this matter. Thank you, the IDOL team. Safe to say that's quite a wild list, because if I'm reading this correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, she was using drugs on stream. She was asking fans to come up and meet with her privately, probably around the knowledge or even permission of the company. Meeting with a fan in person, which depending on the contract isn't like per se a bad thing, but then accepting gifts from said fan, which could be really problematic, and especially if it's that much money. And it was again done in person, in private. And then she also had her secret relationship with the manager on the team. It's not clear whether it's her manager, but it's a manager. And like, that's having a work relationship without anyone knowing is a problem. But then I also heard that said manager is married. Again, that's just a rumor that I heard. I have no way of confirming that, but that just seems messy overall. Like, just that last part would already been enough to get her terminated. So I've never watched Riro Ron. I didn't really know a lot of them to begin with, so I don't know how much of this was obvious on like her regular streams, how much of this was obvious to her viewers. That might have been a reason that it got into light or was investigated in the first place. But I feel like even if an indie VTuber did all this, it would already cause issues, and that wouldn't even be a contract to worry about or contract to breach. Having that said though, someone pointed out there was a quote retweet, apparently with a screenshot from, I think, a stream. Maybe this was members only content. And apparently people thought that the Riro H REM Project, yes, that's the name of it, was like a joke, like a troll thing, an inside joke between the streamer and the fans. But having read the termination notice, I don't think a lot of this was a joke. I think she actually might have gone through with it, or at least partially with some people. And that's just like a wild thing to even comprehend. But what this says though is Riro harm requirements. No minors. Love the Riro. Don't get jealous, but Riro can get jealous. Don't make her jealous. Riro is Mina no Idoru. For my starters, be respectful and tactful with Riro. Riro chooses if some wishes come through or do something mild instead. You must be familiar with non non-Riro, which I assume is her old identity, which both Idol and herself have been very open about. More about that later. This harem project and what happens in there is top secret. Do not talk with other people or other stardust about your trip and experience. Perks, the possibility to meet up with non-Riro, and more. Just looking at this, if I had seen this before the termination notice, before I knew she was terminated, I would have still thought, okay, bit weird. But I've seen VTubers joke about weirder stuff. But knowing the context, yeah, she probably went through with it. Like, this was not a joke, and the harem part was probably also not a joke. Again, I don't know for sure, but it's easy to assume that it is the case. Just want to reiterate, we don't know how much of that speculation is actually true. It still could have been a joke, and all that stuff that Idol mentioned could have happened separately from what was shown in that screenshot. I don't have the source specifically, but I will link the tweet I got it from in the description down below. What I do want to touch upon is the part where she mentioned non-Riro, which I assume is either her IRL self or her past life, KyOresu. And before anyone gets upset, both Idol and KyOresu herself have been very open about her being Riro Ron. Like, as you can see in this tweet from Idol, which KyOresu retweeted, you can see VTuber debut, excited to announce the debut of upcoming Riro Ron star, featuring the iconic singer KyOresu. And even in this tweet where they say, welcome to the Idol family, KyOresu, and then linking the Riro Ron account, which again, she also retweeted. The point of me telling you all that is that she actually went on this old account to post a small statement of her own regarding the termination notice, which, fair enough, everyone has the right to defend themselves. And it reads, I was as shocked to see the notice as you are. There's an insane amount of speculation going on, but unfortunately, I cannot clarify things because of an NDA. I wish I could talk about this publicly with pure honesty and actual transparency. I'll say one thing though, I am extremely disappointed and I have nothing to apologize for. Thank you all for your patience during this time. I missed all of you as much as you missed me. We'll be so back. I think this last part just refers to the fact that she will likely come back under this account, maybe a new name even, and just continue activities as KyOresu or whatever incarnation she chose to do. And I missed all of you so much as you missed me. Might just be because she was on hiatus prior to the termination, because there was another offense or something that she had to go on hiatus for earlier this month. I don't know much about that, and I'm not going to speculate about it because it doesn't matter anymore. Honestly, it's a wild situation, and currently everything we can do is speculate and talk about it and try and be respectful to both the terminated lifer and the team that was left behind, especially as we only really have Idol's side of the story and learning from Zion's thing. It's good to wait until both parties have said their thing before really judging anything. We don't know what was in this contract, and we will never know most likely, and we will never know why these specific things breached that contract. I just know that dating a manager without people knowing, that's just not smart to do, at least inform HR, right? Because it's gonna cause issues, because there's also power imbalance and everything. And meeting up with fans as a VTuber, where anonymity is like a core point, even if you yourself don't care, behind the company's back, which is what it seemed like to me, is just not a smart thing to do, because it can leave you liable for a lot of things. And if the rumors about the harem thing are even remotely true, that's just a lawsuit waiting to happen, I feel. And then there's the controlled substances thing. Doing that on any job is not smart. But if you're also doing one where people can, like, quote unquote see you in real time, that's just waiting for problems. And, like, to be clear, these are controlled substances. We don't know what they are or what she took, but it's different than drinking a few beers on stream, which, to be fair, should also be done responsibly, but it's a whole different league of its own. I'm not gonna sit here and judge this woman for living her life, having relationships, and doing whatever, because that's not the point, frankly. What I do find the point is that if you're contracted with the company, if you have a job, that you should keep up some professionalism, at least during whatever areas that involve your work. And something that I personally find important as an entertainer, as a streamer, content creator myself, is that you also should feel some responsibility to making sure that you yourself are safe, but also keeping your viewers, your audience safe. And with that, I just mean, like, if you're gonna do a meetups with your fans or accept gifts, but without the company's knowledge, permission, there are ways to, like, keep you and your viewers safe. That's gonna cause issues. And especially if you're gonna accept gifts of that amount, or you're gonna do other stuff as well, according to the speculation, because that feels like taking advantage of the people that are the reason you have a job in the first place. Like, you can be as talented as you are, you can be an amazing entertainer, but without our audiences, none of us would have a job. And we should at least have the little respect towards our audiences and not take advantage of them. Like, there's so many ways to take advantage of your audience without meeting them in person, but I feel like the gist should be the same. Again, I'm not sure if this is actually what happened, but this is just me reading into it. But I feel like the sentiment stands as a general thing regardless. So in that regard, it's a good thing that IDOL decided to terminate Riro. And if they continue to do all of that as an indie, it will be a completely different story. Like, my sentiment about keeping your audience safe and not taking advantage of them still stands. Like, completely. There's still power dynamic, but I would argue it's a less bigger gap, because being an agency VTuber, it just puts you very high on that pedestal compared to your audience, because there's just a literal bigger gap. It's a lot harder to reach an agency VTuber. But at least they're just on their own and doing stuff for themselves, so they're not dragging an entire company and a whole bunch of other VTubers with them in whatever choices they decide to make, whether they're good or bad. And honestly, I think that's a good point to leave all this, because it's a lot. And I don't know, there's so many like prejudices about VTubers doing stuff like this. So for the fact that someone got terminated for it, that's gonna cause some stir for a while. And considering that Zion did eventually bring out a statement of their own to address everything that they were quote-unquote accused of set up what they did, or at least give some context to it, I assume that with KyOresu coming to their Twitter, like the old Twitter, so quickly to at least write some sort of statement, I feel like we might get some more context from them in the near future, as soon as I know how much they can say. And yeah, like I said, it's a wild situation, and I sincerely hope that we won't get another like rap sheet like this for a long time. Like, I've seen so many graduations lately, but thankfully a lot of them were graduations where people voluntarily left, or the contracts were up, or it was a mutual agreement, another thing of like breaching contract and everything. So that was a lot more peaceful. So to have a termination that doesn't happen as often with a rap sheet like this, that's kind of wild. And yeah, regardless, I do hope that everyone within IDOL is like okay, because regardless of what you think about what happened, having one of your co-workers be fired is never fun, and it's gonna be something to deal with. Because from what I gathered, this was never a problem between talents. As far as I know, the talents weren't even aware of it because it was an internal investigation. Yeah, it was more of a thing of contract breaching than actually like instigating stuff within the company, aside from maybe dating a manager. That's a pretty wild thing. Anyway, I hope you guys are a bit more informed on the topic right now, and I will link everything that I deem relevant or that I showed on screen in this video in the description down below, so you can go to it and read through everything yourself if you want to. And if there are any significant updates, I will let you know. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video, which I hope is gonna be a little bit more happy, if anything. Bye.